second half of that video, I wanted to get to where we left off. They were talking about DeSoto wanting to find the chiefs of the indigenous people. He wanted to find out who your chief was, or who your leader was, and he wanted to take them out because if he did, it would paralyze the tribe. It would cut off the leadership. So let's just pick back up from there, right?
Kate, with the knowledge of the ancestors in the other world.
Until recently, our most informative sources about De Soto's odyssey and the Indian cultures he encountered were the records and diaries kept by members of his force. Archaeologists decided to pick up the now cold trail of his expedition using these accounts.
There are actually three first-hand accounts written by participants in the De Soto expedition. They give almost a day-by-day itinerary.
Boy, I wish I could get my hands on that. I would love to read it, because I bet you, I'm almost positive they'll give away who the Indians really were, or the indigenous people.
What we do then is to take those accounts and look at our maps and try and find those locales. Where is a big lake? Where is a big village? And so on and so forth. And in this way, sort of like a detective works, take a lot of little bits of information, put them together, sort of see what the best fit is. This is how we begin to reconstruct the route.
Looking for evidence of the Spanish, archaeologists reasoned, would be the best way to find the remains of lost Indian cultures.
And I know this would never happen, especially in this day and age and where we're going, but it's like a dream of mine. I really would like to put together, to not be too corny, but my own task team, force of people, like if I could just, pay out the University of Jacksonville, Florida, and their students, with a few other people, like Let Us Find the Truth and Dr. Umar Johnson and them, to be there, when they excavate these sites, you know what I'm saying? So, and all this stuff be filmed 24/7, constant footage, of them digging it up and taking the stuff and testing it, in labs and from the lab results, instead of stuff going behind closed doors, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know. It's just something I've always thought about, if that could happen, you know what I'm saying? There was no way they could keep this lie promoted,
Within archaeological sites, we're going to see evidence at some of them of the impact of the Spaniards on the native people. And in fact, at several sites along the right, we see very graphic, horrendous evidence. Indian bones, the remains of people that lived in 1539 that have been cut with Spanish weapons.
One of the important contact sites in Florida is called Tatham Mound. Archaeologists found the remains of...
Next, we gotta look up Tatham Mound, all right, and see what was written about there. First of all, where is it even located? You know what I'm saying, and go from there.
Nearly 300 individuals, most of whom died at the same time. The cause of death was grimly clear.
But included in this group of people were bones that clearly showed sword cuts through them. One horrible one, the left shoulder of an individual cut all the way through, probably just cut the whole right arm of a person off. Some of the long bones, when the Spanish fought, it was typical for them to try and cut the tendons and muscles in legs, so your opponent fell down, and then go in and cut them in the wrist, so they dropped their weapons and then go in and give them the coup de grace, either on the head or whatever. Clearly, people were killed because of these little battles, little skirmishes that occurred.
The accounts also reveal that the Indians fought just as violently as the Spanish. The witnesses record horrifying scenes. The Indians ambushed their enemies so cautiously and skillfully that not a single Spaniard who strayed so much as 100 yards from the camp escaped being hit by an arrow and beheaded at once. And in spite of great haste our men made to assist their companions at such times, they always found them decapitated.
But the Spaniards had devastating weapons at their command.
They had crossbows, they had arquebuses, they had cannon. I think good weapons. I think the best weapon, however, was the horse. And repeatedly, when the Spaniards were endangered, mounted knights on those horses could simply rout an Indian force. Essentially, a knight on a horse was the Sherman tank of the day.
See, something about that in my mind says it's not right. All right. You know, if we can look into the Bible and we see, you know what I'm saying, armory, you know, with King Solomon, you know, and him having a shield and a sword and stuff like that. Where's the Indian's shield? You know what I'm saying? Where is his sword? Why is it that they just describe him as having a bow and arrow and a club, and that's it? You know, something about that's just, it doesn't add up to me in my mind. You know what I'm saying? When I hear that, and the weapons, I almost am convinced they had to have something. You know, it's just not the whole. The horse was it. You know, something about that just doesn't seem to add up.
He had his sword, his armor, his attack dog, his war horse, pretty much impenetrable. And
listen to that, his attack dog. You know, I like it when they try to make it sound like they came over here just, oh, they were innocent Spaniards and Portuguese men, you know, and they were just looking around, explorers. They were just looking for land. You hear how they were loaded with this, you know, arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Who just goes into a land loaded with dogs that already are attack dogs, trained killers, you know what I'm saying? Horses, you're loaded with armor and all this stuff. I mean, I understand you don't go into another land, you know, completely, you know, defenseless, but at the same time, the way they're describing it, they came here loaded, ready to take this place down.
Could attack Indians and simply with horses, you know, charge.
And think about something, right? Take your mind back to some of those old time slave movies, right? Didn't those old time slave owners, you know, have like the pure white German shepherds or something like that, and those attack dogs that would come and chase down the slave and, you know, tear his legs wide open. You know, that dog that was white now got all that blood from the runaway all over him and stuff like that. You know, just think about that. Just think about that, because he's saying Indians, you know. My mind says the runaways, the people they captured.
Into them, defeat them, kill them.
The basic weapons of the Indians would have been war clubs and bows and arrows, and to some extent maybe spears, which I don't think was used very much. The weapons of the Spaniards, on the other hand, the combination of the men mounted on horses with lances and dogs was...
See, in my opinion, all right, just my opinion, I think that the Spaniards have these swords, you know, they have bow and arrows, but I also think they're leaving out the fact that they had guns, right? Didn't they have muskets and stuff like that? You know, that is when you learn about some of these other Indians, such as I'm doing, like the ones in Florida, how you know, the Yamasee were so fierce and so on and so forth, but they didn't have the privilege of getting the guns from, you know, the Europeans that the Cherokees were siding with. They didn't get the guns from them, so they didn't have the advantage, and they got beat out. You know, so I just want to point that out, all right?
Devastating.
On horseback, the Spaniards literally let slip the dogs of war.
The Indians couldn't outrun the horses, and they couldn't outrun the dogs. These dogs were war dogs. They were Irish wolfhounds, they were mastiffs, and they were greyhounds, and they were trained to kill people.
Hold on, I want to look something up. Let's see here. Let's look at something. You said Irish wolfhounds? So this is what they sent after us? Huh. It's a decent sized dog right there. It stands about what is like it might stand a little bit taller than a German Shepherd might. I could be wrong. That's a decent sized looking dog. That's what they saying they sent that dress, huh? Ain't that something? I don't know. Let me go back to the video. Why did it go out?
It's a survey job.
Come on, lad.
With lances and dogs was devastating.
On horseback, the Spaniards literally let slip the dogs of war.
The Indians couldn't outrun the horses and they couldn't outrun the dogs. These dogs were war dogs. They were Irish wolfhounds, they were mastiffs, and they were greyhounds, and they were trained to kill people.
But you have to understand that
Now
DeSoto
the Greyhound, that makes sense because I got a neighbor and they adopt retired Greyhound racers from Florida, right? And those puppies are fast. They're like, if they ever get outside their yard, they're gone, and they'll never get them back because those things just flat out are gone. They love to run. So yeah, no, I get that when they mention the Greyhound, but the other two I'm not too familiar with,
and his army were here to do a job. They were here to explore, conquer, and settle. And they would stop almost at nothing to do that. Their lives were at times endangered, so they did whatever they had to do. By our standards today...
Wait, their lives were only endangered because they were sent on this mission to do what? They were sent to assassinate, right? So let's not change the narrative and make it sound like they were innocent, and woe is them, They came here stealing someone else's property. And when they got... stealing's probably not the right term. They came here literally to conquer and to take someone else's property. That's what they was. Yeah. I don't know. I just get irritated when they make it the way he makes it sound. He makes it sound as if their lives were in danger just because they were here just looking around. The Indians were so barbaric. That's the kind of image that's painted in my mind. It's like, no, you should have never been here. The Spaniards should have never been here. Period.
Their behavior was
If they were going to be here, they should have asked permission, not just come with the sword, like the Bible said they would, and just take everything.
often extremely cruel.
On October the 18th, 1540, it appeared the Indians had had enough. They planned an elaborate ambush to end the Spanish terror once and for all.